This is Lansdowne ROAR, the voice of the fans. Coming up, we ask, was Rory McIIroy's master win bigger than Italia’90? Could Evan Ferguson be off to Everton? And plus, we have the latest news. It's David Dunn here, joined by Conor McIIroy, and this, of course, is Lansdowne ROAR, and you are all very welcome. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that like button, and of course you can head over to our Facebook, Instagram and our Twitter account. And if you want opinion, head over to lansdowneroar.ie. That is lansdowneroar.ie. Conor, how are you doing?
I'm grand. It's been a good night, in fairness. It's been an enjoyable last hour and a half. I'm sure everyone knows why, but it was good. It was good to have an enjoyment in life for football at once, because we don't really get money of them anymore as an Irishman that supports Man United. So I'm good. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm very well, thank you. I wonder if Caoimhín Kelleher is going to be on Amarin's speed dial after tonight. But no, all good here. Yes, didn't get to see it. I did laugh. I saw they were 2-0 up. And I was like, yeah, that's done. Then I looked at sort of 4-2 down. Oh, what? And then, yeah, I will admit, I haven't seen any of it, but a hell of a comeback by Man United. So I will give them credit. But I think that does ask more questions, actually, than answers. But anyway, it is what it is. That is football. Football doesn't seem to make sense anymore, Conor. And of course, I don't think Eamon Dunphy made any sense. In his comment, in his column for The Mirror, which is weird. I'm going to read some of his article out to you, Conor, and to you lovely people at home. So basically, the headline is, Eamon Dunphy column, I was moved to tears by Rory McIIroy's triumph. His win surpasses Italia’90. I remember Italia’90, the smiling faces, the way everyone seemed to buy into the feel-good factor. So do I, Eamon. For me, though, there were mixed feelings, yes. It was great to see Irish football on the world stage, but while the team reached a World Cup quarter-final, it never reached its potential. Just on that one, Conor, will sort of break it down a little bit. I do agree with him on that, by the way. That was a fine Ireland team and probably could have done a lot better. Could have got to the quarter-finals with a bit more panache. Never won a game. Scored 2 goals. No way. England, Egypt. Yeah. Sorry, England, Netherlands. Yeah, scored 2 goals. Never won a game. So got to the quarterfinals with a fine team, but didn't, probably could have done a little bit better. I felt pleased with people who were having a great time, but the truth is we were treated to a lot of sentimental old mush in those weeks. People jumped on a bandwagon, celebrated a side who scored 2 goals and didn't win a match in the tournament, as I said. So the difference between what Jack did in 1990 and what Rory McIIroy did on Sunday night is simple. Rory won. And then he goes on about all his different achievements and all that. And then he's going on about how Rory has overcome this and he's overcome that. And then he talks about, it was a great win, by the way, Rory McIIroy. I'm not really a golf fan. But he continues, I've watched a lot of sport in my time. I have seen greatness and mediocrity. And on Sunday, I saw something that moved me to tears. What McIlroy has is authenticity, easy for me to say, as well as brilliance. And he goes on about the whole live thing. And then he continues, this victory fulfills his dreams as a sports person and elevates him to rare company. Obviously, McIlroy. He now has as many majors as Seve Ballesteros. He also has a career Grand Slam. And now that he has shaken the monkey off his back, it is inevitable that he will progress and win more. As Irish people, we are lucky to have him. So move aside, Italia’90. This was better. Conor, your thought?
It's a hard one, I think, because in terms of just achievement-wise, completing the career Grand Slam at the Masters is probably a better achievement than getting to a quarter-final or round of 16 in a World Cup. But in terms of making a country of Ireland come together, the whole country going wild, every single person, their cat and their dog, being obsessed with one thing over time, it doesn't even compare as a moment for the country. Because as great as what McIlroy done, I had a great watch with Sunday night, seeing him win. It's kind of a lot of people were we're so happy for him. We're glad he won. It was a great evening. A lot of people would have been nervous watching that, thought he had bottled it, and then he was showing very, as the modern term is, Dave, he was clutch when it mattered. And He
What?
he's clutch. It means turning up when it really matters. You would know about that. But
I'm here, aren't I?
yeah, yeah.
How did? Sorry. Okay, we'll get back to. Go on, continue. We'll get back
No,
to
but I'm just saying
clutch.
in terms of his what he has achieved, it's a better it's a better achievement to win the career Grand Slam in golf than it is for that Ireland team, as you said, should have done better, got to around the 16. But in terms of what it done for the whole country, it's not
No,
even
no,
comparable.
got to the last eight quarterfinals.
Quarterfinal. So but it's not even comparable in terms of what it done for the country. Like, yeah, Rory McIlroy, what he'll probably inspire more people to play golf, which obviously is a great thing. And he has it touched a lot of people what he done on Sunday, but that World Cup literally took over the country. I'd imagine people took weeks off work, people couldn't get out of pubs. The place I couldn't imagine there was a huge amount of pubs absolutely rammed on Sunday night. Maybe there was, maybe I'm just stupid, but I couldn't imagine what it
Well,
was like it was for Italia’90. That's my thoughts on it.
no, okay, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and just to give you a personal opinion of Italia’90, I was around for Italia’90, and yeah, it was like a street party. It's like when you see the old pictures when they used to have, the Queen's birthday or whatever over in, you see these old pictures, the street parties, the tea parties. You had that in Ireland when there was a game playing, even there wasn't a game playing. It was incredible. Like, we never got on with our neighbors, really. And then you'd have like one of them handing me a can of Coke and go, it was just incredible. It just brought everyone together. Um, the country. I mean, look here. Here's a picture. 1 million people um went on, lined up to see the boys in green when they came back from Italia’90. Of course, Euro '88 was pretty good as well. But yeah, many people, came back, and that's why they had to put in the Phoenix Park in 1994, which is a bit of a damn squib, really, because it was a bit dangerous. And it was amazing. They were out at the where were they? I think at Trinity College. At the end, they were there with the I could be wrong with the building now, and he had the big procession, and he had the whole thing. The whole country came out. It was fantastic thing, and it really gave. At the time in 1990, Ireland was only starting to find its feet. The Irish team, obviously the heroics of Euro '88, very unfortunate. 8 minutes from a semi-final for the last four, never mind eight, with a fabulous side, one of the best in the world at the time, even in 1990 as well. And U2 were around. They had sort of given, music wise, they'd given international recognition like no band had done before or since, really, for this country. It was starting to come alive, and Italia’90 played a big part in that. It wasn't the only reason, because people, it was a multitude of things coming together, and the country getting a bit of confidence back, getting to travel to different places. And it was a fantastic time. It did so much. The whole thing with Rory McIlroy, see, this is what I don't like about these things, and they annoy me. I know it's clickbaity and it's a little bit contradictory and hypocritical, because we are a social media page as well on Lansdowne Road, as well as the podcast Lansdowne ROAR, Rev Tracker, and all that. But straight away, when an Irish entity achieves something, is this the greatest achievement? Is this we're already comparing it to something? Can we not just enjoy it? Personally, I put a message up there in Lansdowne Road straight afterwards about congratulations, because he is Irish sometimes. When he,
Mm.
some of the comments he's made have been a bit strange in that regard. But anyway, I'm not mad into golf. I was delighted when Patrick Harrington won the Masters back in '06, I think it was. Fantastic, but it's fair play to him. Irishman, Irish person, whoever they are, if they achieve something, we put it on the page, because I think that's absolutely right. If I'm aware of it, not aware of everything, but like, I don't really think, it's like, it wouldn't touch as many people. Like, even if this Ireland team now qualified for the next World Cup and got to the quarters, there'd be jubilation, there'd be street parties,
I think even qualifying. I
even
think,
qualifying.
but
Yeah,
the thing that David must be pointed out, I think, is a huge thing, is the fact he's in an individual sport plays a big part, I think, to
yeah,
compared to a team sport. A team sport seems to gather a nation more, maybe because it connects community more, because what's it, his local golf club, what was Hollywood Golf Club, that extra special feeling is with them. For example, when you have this Irish national team, say for example, we qualify for this World Cup, and you have all the lads that are from Dublin. You have Evan Ferguson, or he's from Meath. You have Evan Ferguson from Meath. You have Ogbene from Cork. You have Ida from Cork. You have, say, Aaron Connolly from Galway. Like, you have these lads from all these different counties and these different
Yeah.
clubs that would, I think, connect with people just that little bit more when you say you have one of your own involved in a squad compared to that. But I do think, obviously, it is a better achievement winning all them, winning the Grand Slam of golf. Like.
Oh, it's a marvelous achievement. Like he's one of the best to play his sport. Like I tell you what we should really be talking about instead of comparing it to Italia’90. Now, Dunphy has obviously mixed feelings for Italia’90 because he questioned after the second group game was Egypt. It was a rubbish Egypt team. We had a superb team. Like, honest to God, you'd have your calculator out with all the stats on this now at the time. You'd be loving it. And world class players, and we were terrible against Egypt. And we basically they found us out, couldn't break them down with the under pressure, putting in the corner. It was terrible. It was dreadful. And Eamon Dunphy at the time was absolutely like explosive, giving out, doing the whole squidgy thing on the screen, throwing his pen and says, "I'm ashamed for Irish football," which was misquoted, by the way, for years, that he said he was ashamed to be Irish. Just want to make that very clear because I'm going to see that in the comments. He said it was a shame for Irish football because, he was started going on about the great Irish sports people at that time, even in 1990, and there was a load of them. He said, "This isn't what," and he had a fallout with Jack, and he had a very bad time. He had his car attacked, his family got attacked, and everything because of him. And he writes in his book he sort of left his family to deal with it while he went off to France, I think it was. But going back to what I was saying, what we should be really talking about. What we should really be talking about is what a great country Ireland is for sport. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable, right? You've got Rory McIIroy, you have Patrick Harrington, Darren Clark won a major as well.
Shane Lowry, you forget.
Shane Lowry, Shane Lowry. I'm not a massive golf head. Shane Lowry, now Rory McIlroy's done the Grand Slam.
McIlroy, is he a customer of mine, is he?
I said McIlroy.
No, he said McIlroy.
I said McIlroy. Go back to sleep, you. You talk. The Irish rugby team as well. I know people slag it up. All right, certain UFC fighter that's not very popular at the moment.
We can say, Dave, as someone who grew up as in the era of being a teenager when Conor McGregor was at his peak, it was one of the most enjoyable times. Was staying up to 4:00 in the morning watching. No matter what he's done now and what he's doing, it is, I think, is disgraceful. Like, but we can still appreciate what he appreciated as an athlete and the amount of people that he inspired in the MMA world. Now we have the likes of Ian Gary tearing it up in the UFC. Hopefully he'll win a world title one day. We had Paul Hughes fighting for a world title in PFL not long ago. So like the things. He's inspired so many people, whether people like it or not, what he's done, what he achieved in the sport of MMA can't be forgotten. Like, do you think I think comparing him to Rory McIlroy is easier compared because they're single sport athletes. He was a multi-weight. He was the first ever double champ 2 weight classes in UFC history. Plus, you could even argue, would Rory McIlroy's achievements line up better than Katie Taylor, who is a multiple time double weight world champion? So she's won it in multiple weight classes. I know there's so many weight classes in boxing, but still it takes some
to do it a different way. Yeah, look, McGregor at the time, I thought he was superb, best in the world. Obviously his fighting days are gone. Well, he's fighting legal battles at the moment. Katie Taylor, phenomenal. Sonia O'Sullivan, didn't quite happen for the Olympics. No, she got the silver. She should have got the gold in '96, but she wasn't well. Michelle Smith got 3 golds, one bronze, but of course, bit of controversy. She lost the World Championships for tampering. Owen Morgan, I'm going to say it, controversial hot take.
No.
He was the England captain.
You're not an Irish sports athlete doing that.
Don't care. Someone said to me, and they're not going to like it. I don't give a shit. I'm going to, he's a whisper it. But I enjoyed watching cricket as a kid when I grew up in Dublin. And I thought it was phenomenal that England's World Cup winning captain was an Irishman. And people said to me, why is he playing for Ireland? Why isn't he playing for Ireland? Honest answer was he was too good.
Nice.
No, he was.
It's still the amount of people he could have inspired in this country, but now he's looked at as an English. I know he
No,
technically
he's
started,
not.
but what?
No, he's not. Give
Well,
up, will you?
I imagine he could have achieved great things with Ireland, but
He couldn't have achieved anything. He didn't have a test team.
didn't Ireland beat England in the World Cup not that
They
what,
did. And
10
do you know
years ago?
what? And do you know what? That was more than 10 years ago. It was in the
I remember
Cricket
as a
World
kid.
Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was brilliant, and I loved that. And that was magical. Kevin O'Brien
yeah, broke
got the
100.
fast. Yeah, he got the fastest century in World Cup cricket history at the time. I love that, and everyone was getting on about it. I was like, no, no, no. I've been watching cricket for years. Haven't watched it for years now as well. But no, I thought it was a brilliant achievement. He was a superb player, Owen Morgan. But he wasn't the first Irish player. Ed Joyce
Yeah.
played for England.
Once one does it, it kind of sets up.
Well, a few of them have done
That
it.
depends how proud you are to be Irish. As simple as.
Nah, what it was nothing to do. Listen, and we'll move on. It was nothing to do with that. It's just he was too good for Ireland, and England offered better opportunities. Like Ireland have only started to get there in terms of cricketing. Have only got their act together. Only have a test team recently. Brilliant player. Used to love watching him in the 2020s. Like he get you the most efficient century.
Yeah.
Going. But anyway, I could talk. He was such a fabulous player. But the rowing lads, the two lads down there, we have gold medals all over the place. Like this is a great sporting country, Ireland. Like what other country our size or even bigger has so many different champions, world champions, Olympic champions from different not denominations, it's the wrong word, but different disciplines, completely different sports. It's fabulous.
Yeah, and it's usually, and a lot of the times it's people who inspire the next generation. It's kind of like the first of their kind. Like obviously MMA was going for a long time before Conor McIIroy came in, but he took it to another level. Katie Taylor took women's boxing from nothing to humongous. Even when you look at football, Roy Keane was one of the key figureheads of making Man United possibly the biggest club in the world. I know you're not going to, but he was one of
No,
them
no,
people who done that. So no, but like even like the likes of Brian O'Driscoll, what he done for the country in terms of rugby and putting Ireland on that map of we can have one of the greatest players of all time coming from our country. So, and even you can even say with McIlroy as well. I know golf is probably one of the hardest sports in the world to be one of the best in the world. I would argue.
I'm not. I wouldn't be McIlroy's biggest fan. I think he's done some questionable things. The whole thing with Wozniacki, the Danish tennis player.
Yeah.
I thought that was bad form. Don't want to get a lawsuit. Reading some of the things there, but whatever. He's a great golf player. Fair play to him. Most great sports people are flawed human beings. But this country's achieved amazing things. I think we should talk about that, like instead of comparing it. And you get it with the rugby. I'm very sorry, folks, by the way, if you can hear. I don't know if you can hear that in the background. There's foxes having sex or a fight in the background. I am in London. Like I just don't get this whole. We have to compare it. Even the rugby
what was
lads.
the greatest achievement? The Ireland rugby team beating New Zealand in a friendly in New York.
Chicago, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Chicago actually. Yeah, that's what it was. But it's the same thing. The greatest achievement when they're friendly. People were saying that at the time. People were saying that it was a genuine discussion between rugby heads and non-rugby heads. But no,
I mean,
that was just stupid.
But that's because you had the whole thing of and it goes back to this again, where people are like, an Irish team in a certain discipline, a certain sport will do something, or an Irish entity or person will do something. Is this the greatest moment of all time? And then you get all the people arguing. And it annoys me. Just enjoy it. Enjoy the moment.
If people is the problem when people live in the moment, they love to say that the new shiny thing is the best thing that ever happened. Like,
yeah. One of the funniest things I saw was, and we will move it on. By the way, tell us what you think in the comments. I'm sure there's going to be a few interesting ones after what we've been talking about. But I saw it was on Facebook where they said the 1-0 win over Brazil in 1987 was probably the greatest moment in Irish sport, or it was like top 5 or something. And it was funny because that was a friendly. They had a few players missing. We had a fabulous team at the time, though, in 87. They played England a couple of days previous, and there was about 10,000 people at the match, and it wasn't even shown on telly. It was so funny. Like, we did an episode on this in a previous, like Martin and I did, and it wasn't even shown on television. It was like, it was some ballroom dancing competition because it didn't show friendlies. live back in the day until 1989 when we played France in a 0-0 draw in Denmark Park. First ever live friendly shown on Irish telly. So there you go.
Up the bows.
Up the bows. Right. Tell us what you think. Oh God, we sort of gone over there a little bit. But anyway, this man, we keep talking about this lad, Evan Ferguson. Of course, he's having a nightmare time of it at the moment at West Ham. I'm getting pelters for defending him, saying, "Oh yeah, 3 managers have chucked him out. It must be it must be bad luck." It's like, yet again, completely missing the point. However, you type in Evan Ferguson now, and you will get Everton to rival Leeds United for Premier League striker as double exit beckons. Leeds United ready to battle Everton for potential £45 million transfer. Everton want to sign explosive. Oh, that's a different player. But anyway, it was Calvert-Lewin, actually.
By the way, Leeds get linked with every single player. They were linked with Anselmo Garcia, McNulty last summer, and I've seen them being linked to Andrew Mumbamadeli for this summer again after being linked last summer. So Leeds are turning into United in terms of this, and maybe it's because they're a huge club, but they get linked with every single player under the sun.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's just what they do, isn't it? Basically, it's conjecture. We had it with the Ireland manager. I know it's just before you joined the podcast there, Conor. I think it wasn't it, before Heimer. You weren't with us. Yeah.
No, I would join when it was John O'Shea in charge.
You did. But before the whole thing with John O'Shea, Martin and I, yeah.
I was there before the big cars leave.
Yeah. And it was going to be Carnes. It was going to be Houghton, and it was just basically conjecture. People putting 2 and 2 together and getting,
Chris Coleman.
Chris Coleman, yeah, apparently he turned it down, and Neil Lennon turned it down, and all these players. So it's probably just a bit of that going on there. They're thinking, well, if Leeds come up, they're going to need a striker. They won't be able to afford to buy him, so they'll loan him. So I don't know. But I think we talked about this in the group. I think Everton would be a good move. Bigger club, bigger legacy club than Brighton. Not in as good a place, obviously, at the moment. But if Moyes, Moyes could. I mean, look what Moyes has done for Jacob Bryan. He was on the scrap heap, wasn't he, under Sean Dyche? They were fighting relegation. I thought at the time, I remember thinking that's crazy getting rid of Sean Dyche and bringing in David Moyes. I mean, they're much of the same. And you know how wrong that was. David Moyes is turning him into a mid-table team again. I think it'd be, if he got to Everton, I don't know if they'd want to sign him. I don't think they'll want to loan him out because I think he's got 2 years left in his contract, hasn't he? I believe.
I'd imagine there's options to extend, but you can keep talking there, and I'll find out for definite for you now.
You find out first. But I think he's got something like 2 years left, or no, he only signed a new deal, didn't he?
He signs a new deal every year, that man.
So yeah, I don't know. I think they don't want to loan him again. They want to sell him. They want to cut. Apparently the report saying that they just want to cut him out if they're going to get rid of him. But I think Everton, would they have the money to buy him for 45 billion?
His contract doesn't expire till 2029.
So there you go. So they could loan him.
4 years left.
Yeah. So I think a loan deal is on the case. Do you know what we're getting confused with? The Queeve and Keller conversation, the 2 years. Remember we were talking about that?
Because we didn't have this conversation. By the way, just for anyone wondering, we did not have this conversation in the group chat. So I don't know. You must have had it with other
Queeve and Keller conversation.
No, I'm on it. No, yeah, we had a Keller conversation. We never Ferguson one.
No, but in the writers group.
Oh,
I wasn't participating in it. I was just watching it in the corner. I was being voyeuristic on it.
Either was I, to be honest, mate.
I mean, you never are really. But anyway, thanks for making it sound weird. So yeah, I mean, you could see a cheeky loan move there, couldn't you? Really? I think it'd be a good place.
Keller has 1 year left in his contract, by the way. So just on Ferguson, I don't know. I just don't know about Everton. You just don't know with them. Massive club, good manager, building a very nice squad of players. I think it won't be long before they become a European club again. And they have the brand new stadium, which looks unbelievable. But I just don't know, Dave. You just don't know at this stage. like I know that you always see the tweets about this and that about Ferguson. He needs to go abroad. Needs to go abroad. Probably there is truth in that. Maybe he needs to go. I think he needs to go to Bayer Leverkusen. Like he was, if they wanted him in January, they still want him now because he's
He,
Evan
he,
Ferguson is still by any club with a pair of eyes knows he's one of the top young strikers in Europe, and it's just he needs a club and a manager that loves him.
Everton. I think Everton would be perfect. Listen, he ain't going to Bayern Leverkusen, Connor. Like on the current form he's on, and being his biggest defender, but it's not
He went
happening.
in, but he went on just as bad form. He was they wanted him in January. But these
Fair.
German clubs, you're forgetting these German clubs thrive off this thing of young players coming into the club and then
Okay.
either sell on, or it's a common thing now and you see in football is these clubs get a sell on percentage even from taking a lad on loan. Say for example, they took him on loan for a year and then Ferguson went back to being a potential superstar and then they got end up getting a 2-3% even for the future sell on fee. So like if you went for 100 million, you're still getting 3-4 million if it goes for 3 or 4%. So no, I still think these clubs will still want him.
And you don't think
He's
Everton? You don't think Davy Moyes would?
I just think no, I no, like I do think they'll want him, and I think he probably would be open to that move. But I just don't know what Premier League moves, which is a good one, bad one. Because we all thought West Ham was going to be a great move because of seeing a familiar manager,
Yeah.
a lot of talent in that West Ham team. Thinking he'll score goals, but I just don't know, Dave. I think that's a simple answer because it's one conversation that it's not that I'm sick of talking about. I'm just confused. It's a confusing conversation.
To be fair though, right? We all thought. I mean, we did. We all thought West Ham was a good move. It made sense. Potter had obviously brought him through at Brighton. It seemed to be okay. Although De Zerbi, had brought him on to another level. But Potter had kind of brought him through. Said, okay, that makes sense. And it's been absolutely horrible. However, to be fair with David Moyes, has a proven track record of bringing in youth players because he had to do it when he took over Everton. When was it? 98, I think he took over Everton the first time when he was Preston manager, and they were on the brink of relegation. He had no money in the club. A team that were already just been champions like 13 years or 12 years previously. In 87, I think they were champions, and they were on the brink of relegation, and he brought him up and he brought young players in through the academy. You had players like Wayne Rooney come in, all these young lads, and he signed young lads as well, and he made them into proper players. So he does have a proven track record, and he's even done it now. If people think about his past, say he's even done it now with Jacob Bryan on the scrap heap with Sean Dyche. He's come in, he's turned him into a right back. He hasn't, and he's been brilliant. He has been brilliant for Everton. Now, whether he's a sticky plaster, I don't know, but he's been brilliant. And Seamus Coleman, he was only a young lad when he got him in. He signed him, didn't he? He signed him in 05. It was 05, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I'd imagine, and I'm not going to give credit to David Moyes for that. He was not going to watch him play at Sligo Rovers. That was excellent scouting by whoever the scouts were
No,
at
but
Everton at the
the
time.
point is he brought him in and he cultivated him as a player. And Wayne
Yeah,
Rooney. And
yeah.
Wayne Rooney ended up going to, players like that. So this guy has a proven track record. It'd be very welcoming as well with Jacob Bryan, with Seamus Coleman there as well for Evan. Obviously, he must be Seamus Coleman will probably be a coach next year. He won't
I
be
think he would
playing.
player coach. Well, they want him to sign a new deal, so it's up to Shamey. The reality is, I was saying this to someone I know who's very involved with Everton in some aspects at the club, who, well, obviously had no say in the first team or anything like that. But we were having a conversation saying if Sean Dyche was still the Everton manager right now, it would be a flip side of it. It would be Jacob Ryan would still be on the bench, rotting on the bench, but Seamus Coleman would be starting every week because he was he obviously seen him as his captain. You can't leave your captain out. Seamus Coleman leads for by
Was
example.
actually
On
was actually Young not getting in ahead of him
no,
though.
no. There was times he was playing right mid. If you remember, he was playing a lot of time on the wing, or
Was
even
he?
playing at left back sometimes. So
Ridiculous.
no, Seamus Coleman was starting every single week under Dyche. And the reality is, if Dyche was still there now, Seamus Coleman would still be starting. Obviously, it's better for Ireland in the long run to see Jacob Bryan playing
Mhm.
and playing regularly. But it's always sad to see one of our greatest ever players and Everton's best ever captain sitting on the bench at the moment. But I guess that's how old age starts to kick it. Well, he's not old, like, but in football terms, he's old. But
He's yeah, I mean, and he's injury prone as well.
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
the thing. Yeah,
Yeah, look, Seamus Coleman met him, lovely man, leader is a leader, and yeah, I'd want him. Everton have had issues with PRS, and will probably or PSR, sorry. Well, and probably have they've had two point deductions going to the new stadium. They could have new issues with that as well, financially. So they can't really. So they probably. I think Coleman's going to be kept on as an absolute like break glass for emergency player because I don't think they can really sign anybody. That's why I do think Ferguson would be a loan deal. 4 years left in the contract, and they don't have any money. They're not going to buy him outright. And I think they get him in. We want to see a loan deal. We want it early. We want to announce as early as possible so he can have a preseason, get in there, and he can get in there and just hit the ground running as best as he can and have a proper preseason, and then start banging in goals for everything. I'd love to see it, and I think that's the one for him. Forget about Bayer Leverkusen.
do you want me to take a bold risk, a bold statement for you? I think it's going to happen.
Go on.
Evan Ferguson is going to tear it up completely for Brighton in pre-season, and they are going to have no option but to starting him in the Premier League at the start of next season. And he's going to be either the starting number 9 or one of the 2 9s they play with, because he's going to tear it up in pre-season. Because I don't think no matter what you think, these clubs, it's a known thing with Premier League clubs, you do not loan players out until late August or at August or some stage anyway. Probably it's different if you're going to a Premier League club that's desperate to get you in straight away. But I think he'll do his whole pre-season at Brighton. Or at least do the stage, where you do the start in Brighton and then they head off to, I don't know where they're going, America or where else clubs go, Australia or Singapore or Thailand, wherever these clubs go to across the world. I think he'll definitely do that. And that's when we'll see if he can really, really impress and score goals in pre-season. I think we'll see Evan Ferguson stay at Brighton at least for the first month of the season until the end of August. Well, usually it's like the 3rd of September the window closes these days. Are you researching where they're going in pre-season?
No, just looking at the summer loan window in English football for 2025 will open early between June 1st and June 10th due to exceptional registration period for the Club World Cup. So I think he's going to go on loan with Everton.
I think
that's according to AI, by the way. That could be completely wrong. Yeah, well, that's according to AI. You having a look at it there?
I'm gonna look now, but I'd say that's right.
Yeah. So I reckon what's going to happen is the manager doesn't fancy him. His loan move to West Ham has been a complete cluster. Try not to swear. And basically, the Everton are going to go in and say, "Look, we can fix him for you. It's going to be a shrewd move. We haven't got any money. Let's get a nice little loan deal going. We'll get him in early. We'll polish him up for you, get him in, and then he'll be Everton's player for the season. And I think he's going to have an absolute whirly of a season. I just think the manager, I think he just has to show the manager somewhere else what he can do. That's what, because he's not going to get a chance at that Brighton team. Everton will give him a chance because they're desperate. They're just going to be desperate for money and players. As I said, that's why Seamus Coleman's been kept on, in my opinion, as a player, because there's no way the lad can't play. Like he doesn't play. He sits on the bench. He can't play. I just he's just kept on as an absolute backup emergency, in my opinion, because of just financial restrictions. So that's what I think.
We'll see him play the last game of the season anyway. That's for certain.
Right, before we go, Conor, you got a couple of news bits for us?
I think one thing for certain is, where is Martin Prendergast when a certain King Didsey, David McGoldrick, scored another goal of season contender tonight for Notts County against Bradford to equalise? The man, as I've said before, he's simply the greatest player of all time. The things that man can do with a ball at his feet, and he's gifted. And he's such a good guy, doesn't care about playing in the high leagues, playing at the highlights. He went to Notts County because the love of his boyhood club that he grew up with because he wanted to be with them and show the love back to the fans he's got. But in sad news from that game, Bradford obviously are trying to win League Two, which with all the Irish involvement they had, and Kieran Kelly actually scored for Bradford the goal, put them 1-0 up, and it looked like it was going to be a good win for them. And then sadly, Mr. King Didsey had to ruin the day for them. I seen Port Vale, who looked like they're going to win the league now, put up they had their goal of the season winner announced the other day, and then put a photo up today, quoted his goal with a picture of him winning their Port Vale goal of the season. So respect to King Didsey for that. Other news just after the United game tonight, something that's just popped up my phone there about Ruben Ambrose saying that we have to take a risk with the kids in the Premier League. We have to focus on the Europa League. So it'll be, I think that's a 99% hint that we're going to see Jack Moorhouse make his Man United first team debut over the next couple of weeks. So, Dave, I don't know if you agree with me. If he starts playing these last couple of games of the season and does all right, he's a serious contender to come in June. I know if they were fighting for top four or fighting to win the league, he wouldn't be playing. But if a lad is considered good enough to come into the squad and play well, if he does play well, we have to see him come in.
Oh yeah.
And actually, go on.
No, I was going to say I've never seen the lad play. I know that shocks you, but no, absolutely. If he comes in and he does it in the Premier League and he holds himself well, then yeah, you know, will he be part of United's plans next season? I doubt it, but he'd probably get a good loan move somewhere in the Premier League or Championship, and yeah, let's have a bit of that in the squad.
Yeah. What about also more news? Jason Knight came out there. Some of the statistic news is the third most experienced player born in 2001 in world football. That's just 24. He's played 303 appearances. Only two more people have played more. Only Rodrigo at Real Madrid and Kubo, who's I think he's at Real Sociedad now. He was at Madrid to play that many games and never ever get injured. The one time he actually was injured, if you remember, Dave, when Rooney talked about it on the overlap, saying that he clattered in when he joined in the training one time. He clattered Jason Knight, and Jason Knight was out injured for a few weeks because of that. But he's never once in his career plays 90 minutes every week, pulled a muscle. So that just shows how. I know some lads get it; it's unlucky, but he's such an elite pro. If you have to be keeping your body right, you do everything right to be.
I just hope though that doesn't affect him further
Yeah,
down field,
yeah. I
because
hope it doesn't.
Wayne Rooney is a perfect
Yeah,
example of that.
but I think with the way modern football is, a lot of lads, have to keep their body right. Rooney did not keep his body right. He was.
No, but players like Gary Kelly has shin splints. He started when he was very young. Michael Owen tore his hamstring off the bone when he
Yeah, but
was
he done
very
it
young.
very young, didn't he?
He did, but you know, yeah, I don't want to jinx the lad, and a fair
Yeah,
play to him, but yeah, I just we don't know, because I don't think we've had a player come through just because they don't. Jason Knight, they don't normally allow players that young to play that amount of games
yeah,
because of that. So he's quite. I think because of his time at Derby, he yet again they were in serious trouble, weren't they? So they
yeah.
had to break glass, put him in. He's a fabulous lad, and I do think
Brilliant.
he.
He's a very good footballer. He's
Yeah.
just in the Ireland shirt. We haven't seen it over the last like 2 years or so, but there was a stage he was getting man of the match most games. If you remember, he was playing
Mm-hmm.
very well, and then we kind of dropped deeper and it's not suited him as much. And then the last news probably is one I've always asked about is Kevin Zeffy. He's
My old
starting to
pal Kevin.
getting more and more embedded in the Roma first team as of late. He's trained with the Roma first team the last 2 days. They had an open training session today for all their fans, and he trained again with them today. Was getting a lot of love from the fans, which is good to see, and that it looks like you would hope he would make his first team debut before the end of the season. After that, I think he'll probably move on to a different club that will play him week in, week out at first team football, which he does need at his age because he's 20 now. He's can't be playing Primavera football any longer, and it's just a waste of talent if he just doesn't get the right move in the summer. And obviously, if people are always asking about is he going to play for Ireland, is he going to play for Albania, I'd be hopeful that he'll see him in the under 21 squad in June. You think hopefully if he makes first team football, that'll remove any doubt of Jim Crawford not picking him for that 21 squad in June. And a lot of that talent, you only want to see them as an option to Ireland, not losing them at under 21 level anyway.
No, and and to be fair to Jim Crawford on that, and my pal Kevin, um, he hasn't played. He hasn't been playing, and Jim's got to pick the best players. I know, obviously, there was a little bit of stuff around there when he went to Albania and a bit of controversy. And if you want to see that interview, well, it's not an interview. It might as well be an interview. That press conference. It is in the archives. Go back and find it with Conor. To be fair, Conor, you were brilliant with Jim, and you could tell he was enjoying the conversation about the Kevin Zevy situation. But no, I want to see him play for Ireland. He's outrageously talented, but I want to see that potential turn into something really substantial. And yeah, I want to see him play for Ireland. I think he will play for Ireland. He's just got to knuckle down, just do it, just get it done. And if I do, or if he does, Kevin, if you're watching, I'll even send you one of these mugs. There you go. Right. We're going to leave it there, folks. Conor, thank you very much. And thank you guys for watching at home as well. We will be back. We're going to have another episode for Sunday. It won't be live. It will be recorded because there's a lot of football on Saturday, Conor, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Friday, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Good Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
All the football's tomorrow. It just can't click to me there. Tomorrow is all the football. Good Friday football action. You've got me excited now. I was thinking I get to watch all the Irish players tomorrow, so it should be good.
Yeah, so there's a load of football on tomorrow. Of course, this is going to drop on Friday, but then there's loads of football on tonight. Let's just pretend that we're recording for the morning, which we're not. And then, of course, we will be back live on Tuesday.
Yes, we'll be live on Tuesday night.
We'll be live on Tuesday night. That will be Martin and Conor will be live on Tuesday night. Martin doesn't know he's going to be live on Tuesday night, but if you're watching Martin, you're going to be live on Tuesday night. Yes, so a bit different this weekend, but yeah, recorded episode will be released on Sunday. Don't worry, we will be live on Tuesday night, Martin. Anyway, right. If you haven't already, please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you wouldn't mind, head over to our Facebook, Instagram, and our Twitter account. And if you want opinion and an audio version of this podcast, or you really should be watching it, head over to LansdowneROAR.ie, LansdowneROAR.ie, or wherever you get your podcasts, I suppose. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Again, anyway, I'm David Dunn. He is Conor McIIroy. This is Lansdowne ROAR. We're out of here.